To be a football player in the 70s and 80s, and even the 90s, should have had some kind of hazard pay. Not only were you chasing that dream, you're also trying not to f up so bad that you piss the boss off. One of them being Pablo Escobar. The cartels dipping their toes into sports obviously opened up a whole avenue of income. Sports betting, a business valued at about $76 billion today. America de Cali and Atlético Nacional were two football teams that were heavily sponsored by two major drug cartels. America de Cali was owned by the Cartel Cali. Atlético Nacional, based out of Medellin, was owned by the infamous Pablo Escobar. Two cartels were competing on and off the pitch, in competition for the New York drug market in the US and the international title for football. I really feel that these two cartels felt that the New York market was a big deal, but I think that the international title was probably way more important. In the 1980s, the war on drugs was getting kicked off and the Colombian drug trade was full of narco-violence as law enforcement was battling the cartels all over the country. Despite this, Colombian football was in what was considered the golden age of the sport. The reason for that was simple. The clubs were an official high-ranked money laundering operation. And we're talking hella money. I don't know if it's millions or billions, but it was a lot, and back then millions might have well as been billions anyway. They used this money to build football pitches, pay players, coaches, staff ridiculous amounts of money. Let's just say that Pablo Escobar himself, at that height of his bullshit, was about 25 to 30 billion worth in the 70s. That's like 230 billion something today. There was as many as 6 teams at the time who were heavily supported by the cartels, and while the money was good for these players, they were often targets of kidnappings, briberies, and killings. During a close match between the two rival football clubs, America de Cali and Deportivo Independiente, I've tried to say that like 500,000 times, but the Deportivo Independiente was a Pablo Escobar production. Alvaro disallowed a goal, which caused the match to end negatively for Medellin. Alvaro knew that this was so bad for him as he was supposed to be official for the next match in Medellin. He formally asked the Colombian football division to find someone else to officiate because he felt that his safety was at risk. They told him it was going to be fine and he had nothing to worry about. It's said that Escobar was watching the match on TV when the call was made by Alvaro. Escobar stated plainly that there had been a robbery and ordered a hit on Alvaro Ortega. On November 15th, 9 shots were fired at him outside the hotel he was staying at in Medellin. He was dead. The Colombian soccer division, the same one who told Homeboy that he was safe, due to the assassination, they canceled the Colombian championship for 1989. In 1994, Colombia was in its second group match against the United States. During the heat of the game, the score was 0-0. Andres, trying to block a cross, accidentally kicked a ball into his own net. Because of one mistake, the U.S. took the game 2-1 and took the World Cup from Colombia. To say the higher-ups were pissed is an understatement, of course. Andres was set to fly out to visit relatives in Las Vegas, but decided to go to Medellin first to be with friends. 5 days after the game elimination, Andres was out with friends at a nightclub. Having partied all night, everyone split up to head home. This left Andres alone in a parking lot in his car. 2 men surrounded and began arguing with Andres, then took out 2 handguns. They shot him 6 times, and it's reported the killer shouted "goal" after every shot. He died at the hospital 45 minutes later. The killer was discovered to be the driver of Santiago Galeon, a known drug trafficker. He had just lost a butt-ton of money in the outcome of that game. Both men are now free, one after a 15-month house arrest and a 7-year prison sentence for the other. It's of course believed that this was a hit on him for the mistake. His funeral was huge and attended by hundreds of thousands of people. His statue now stands in Medellin. So this one was a little later more recent, but it still kind of shows you how dangerous it is to be a football player. On October 11th, 2009, amateur football team Los Maniceros, or the Peanut Men, because that's literally what they were peanut farmers and sold peanuts along the border. They were ages 17 to 38, so we're pretty much talking about like a Sunday League type team. They were kidnapped in the middle of a match in Venezuela. Men in black called the men's names, to which the men on the pitch responded. They were all taken into vans, the entire team, 12 people. On October 24th, the team was found scattered across the border with multiple gunshot wounds. 11 in total teammates because one survived. Manuel Cortez, age 19, was found with a bullet hole into his neck. He was in bad shape, but he was alive. During the time in the hospital, authorities were on high alert. He was guarded day and night, no one in. Manuel had told the police that the National Liberation Army, or ELN, were responsible for this. Manuel said that they had been lured there by the group leader, a guerrilla called El Payaso, or the Clown. Manuel said that all 12 of his teammates had been chained by the neck to trees and left out in the hot sun for 2 weeks. As I said, Manuel in the hospital was like a sitting duck. One man visited him in the hospital and was immediately arrested for possibly trying to kill him in his hospital bed. Still to this day, no motive has been discovered. I'd be super naive to think that this sort of thing doesn't happen still. Maybe not really all out there in public, but I'm sure in Vegas there's a million bodies of people out there in the desert that just fucked with the wrong person's money in a sports betting way. In my opinion, elite rich people are criminals in their own right. What do you think? Do you think shady shit like this still goes on? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about it in the comments below. Anyways, if you like my content and want to help a girl out by supporting her tiny channel, please consider becoming a member or giving a thanks. All proceeds will go back to the channel to help build a community and create quality content. As always, I'm Crystal. This is Getting Spooky. Love y'all, and I'm out.